Hello everybody, Arjun here with my first wandering reaction review on the new phone. So hopefully the audio-visual quality will be better. Now this is, I think, to the best of my knowledge, the first movie I've ever not finished and just left. Now there's been some movies that I left for part of the film and then I came back. Like when I watched Transformers 1, I think I left for like 20 minutes of it. I just kind of wandered around the lobby and then I came back for the end. I think I did that with Thor: The Dark World. I don't even remember Thor: The Dark World. I've just blocked that whole thing out. But this is the first movie I think I've just left. Like, and it was like 80% done. I'm just like, I can't take it anymore. And I've had some bad movie watching experiences. Like, there's kind of two types of bad movies. There's the, that aren't so bad it's good. There's the abrasively bad ones, which is something like, I know a lot of people like it, but to me, like Kingsman, or probably the most abrasively bad film I've ever seen in theaters, Kick-Ass 2, that just like offend me and just fill me with disgust and resentment towards all mankind. And then there's movies that are just so boring and mediocre and lame that they're like, you watch them and you forget that you're alive. It's like you're just in limbo for the duration of the film. And when you come back, you're like, was that a movie? Or was I just staring at a wall for the last 2 hours? Like, some movies I can think of that were like that was New Moon was like that. It Chapter 1, I think, is the closest I've ever come before this one to walking out of it. And to be fair, I hated It Chapter 1 significantly more than this movie. I just didn't care about this movie as much as I did It Chapter 1, because It Chapter 1 is at least like a name that I recognized. But, yeah, so the worst probably movie of that type I've ever seen was Iron Man 2, which was the most mediocre movie ever made. It had absolutely no heart. No one gave a shit. It was the most phoned in focus group. They didn't give a shit when they were making it film whatsoever. Iron Man 2 made me forget that I was a human. And that same day I had watched, I think it was Tron 1 with a friend of mine. And like after we watched them both, he turned to me and said, I feel like we haven't watched a movie today. And I'm like, yeah, man. We watched two horribly boring. So in 3 minutes, let's maybe try to talk about scary stories to tell in the dark. Now, the only reason I went to see this is because it's like the week of Halloween. There's no horror movies that came out this year for some reason, and I wanted to go see a horror movie. Now, I could have gone home and finished watching Candyman with Virginia Madsen, which alone is a good enough reason to finish watching it. But no, this was playing, and I had missed it the first time it was in theaters. I'm like, I'll go see Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It's got good reviews. I was asking some people at my work, and they're like, yeah, it's a good movie. You should go see it. So I went to see it, and I'm just like, what is this? And as I started, it just occurred to me, you got suckered in again. Guillermo del Toro. You thought because Guillermo del Toro didn't direct this time that this film might have a chance. But no, it has the Guillermo del Toro. It has the stink of everything this man touches. Boring, like hack, over-reliance on the lamest low grade of film cliches. I don't even know how to describe Guillermo del Toro other than to say he sucks and I've hated everything he's made. The only half decent thing that dude's been involved with was Pan's Labyrinth, and this has the same like lame propaganda feel as Pan's Labyrinth. So, like, this film didn't have a chance, that's what I'm going to say, because Guillermo del Toro was involved with it. Like, every time I've seen a movie of his, be it Mother or what was that other piece of shit? Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, or anything he's made, it's always been like horrendously bad. But I thought maybe he didn't direct this time, but no, it's Pacific Rim Job. That was the other movie. Oh, fuck, what a bad movie. Anyways, so this is apparently an adaptation of like a series of short stories, like short horror stories or something like that. So it's a series of it's like an adaptations, and rather than just make them individual, like a vignette, like a series of shorts with like some sort of framing device. So like, we're just gonna throw them all into a movie, and we're gonna have all these like horror movie creatures come out at the same time. And it's like, it's gonna be a book they find, and the book they find is gonna like summon monsters. I think. I didn't see the end of the film because it was too bad. And it's just like, you know what this also reminded me of Stranger Things. Everyone's been like, Arjun, you gotta watch Stranger Things, it's awesome. And like, I tried watching it and it made me like want to kill myself. It's like, oh, it's a tribute to the 80s. It's a tribute to a bygone age, but it's not. It sucks, and this is like that. Like, it's hard to even try to review something like this. Like, sorry guys, I'm sorry I'm rambling. I'm just kind of drawing a blank. It was so awful. So it takes place in like the 60s, I think. And like, the framing device it's the election. I think it's the first time Nixon won election, and he's so evil. The fact that Nixon is running for president opened the doors to hell, and brought this like diary or this like storybook that can summon forth the legions of hell. He's so evil that it brings it forth. And this film keeps having like there's at the beginning, there's like a thing of Nixon campaign poster with like swastikas on it, and then later on there's like some proud woman of color who's like, Tricky Dicky ain't no name for a president. And it's like, and then like one of the main characters is like a draft dodger from Vietnam, and like the first villain in the movie is like some Chad white guy. Well, no, he's not actually Chad. He's like, I don't know, he's like Guillermo del Toro just shitting on everything American. He's like a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, like farm boy from like rural Pennsylvania who wears like the leather jacket. And at the beginning of the movie, he goes to sign up for the army because he wants to go and kill commies. But he's, of course, like a complete sociopath. And he's the first one to die. And he's like the villain because he wants to go and fight in Vietnam.
Oh, yeah.
And because he's an evil racist, and the cop's an evil racist. And like, Nixon winning the election is like when things really get bad. It's like, why are they talking? Is Nixon supposed to be Donald Trump? Is this like in the last episode of Game of Thrones where Dany was so evil she brought back winter? Like, is that what they're going for here? I don't know. None of this movie made sense to me. It just seemed like Guillermo del Toro doing what Guillermo del Toro does, taking like the most generic, lame, stock cliches he can find, throwing them together with some like, it's not even that it's offensive, it's just this lame and pathetic, like liberal, historical revisionist cliches, and just like pretending to make a movie. And it's like everything he touched. And the fact that he didn't direct this doesn't seem to matter. And apparently whatever the hack is who made this is going to be making the Long Walk movie, which I actually thought had some potential. I haven't read the book, but it sounds like it could be like a really interesting, like kind of surrealist existentialist film. Like just if they make it really weird, but it's probably just going to be like this. It's probably just going to be lame. And the whole film is probably just going to be like making fun of 1950s America in the most lame and transparent way possible. So that's my incoherent review. That's about all I could come up with to try to explain that piece of garbage. So yeah, scary stories to tell in the dark. Don't watch this movie. I couldn't even like get into like, oh fuck.